Okay. Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. So we're going to go ahead and start doing our perfect layout. Hi Doreen and Christine and Penny. Where are you from, Penny? And Karen. Hi guys. Okay, so we're going to get started on this one. So hopefully you got the email and the Facebook feed yesterday saying that we needed to cut out some flowers. So I've gone ahead and cut these ones out. So we've got those two larger ones there, a small flower, and we've got the leaves there as well. So if you haven't cut those out, you could possibly do them through this video, or we can just do it a bit later. So if you haven't cut them out, this is where I've cut them out from. So I've cut them out from here, here, and then those two little ones there. So that's what we've cut out of there. Okay, so let's get started. So what you want to do first is you want to, we're going to cut that middle piece out there again. So if you grab a trimmer, and we're just going to grab one of the white 12 by 12 papers here. So that one there. And we're just going to trim off that border first, so make sure it's a 12 by 12. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to measure in 1 inch on all sides. And if you need to, use a pencil. So measure in 1 inch and draw a line across, measure in another inch across here and draw a line across there. And then we're going to cut that middle piece out and we'll use that for something later. So if you're using a trimmer, I just bring it up to the 1 inch mark there. And then on the side of my trimmer, I've got a 1 inch mark there. So I'm going to bring my blade, so I'm going to lift it up and bring my blade down to 1 inch. There, push it down until I get to 11 inches down this way here. So therefore I've got a cut right in the middle of the page. So I'm going to flip it around, do it again at 1 inch there. So bring it to 1 inch on the side of the ruler here, so there, and then we're going to go down and stop at 11 inches here again. So carry on doing that right around the entire piece, so that little piece comes out in the middle. Okay, one more side. If I'm going too fast, please let me know, because sometimes I tend to rush through things a little bit. Okay, so we've now got that middle piece cut out from there. So this piece here we'll put aside and we'll use for a bit later. So this piece here now is what we're going to use as our backing. So I'm just going to grab my one here. Do you know where my original's gone? So I'm just going to trim this border off here. Sorry guys. Hi Christine. I'm glad you could join me today. Okay, so we're just cutting that border off there. So I'm now going to cut this piece to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4. So I want to cut off a little bit at the bottom here. So bring it to 11 3/4. So you're only cutting off 1/4 of a strip on the edge there. There we go. And I want to cut off about 1/4 of an inch on this side as well. So bring it to 11 3/4. And cut down there. Okay, so that now will be a wee bit smaller than that frame that we just cut out. So I'm just going to put my trimmer down. Okay, so that's going to go onto there now. So see how we've got that little bit of a border around the outside? So if you've got some tape, just pop some tape on the back of this one here, right up against the edges, and then we're just going to pop that onto our frame there. Okay, so if you're going to go ahead and put some tape or glue, if you prefer glue, that's totally up to you. Hope everybody's doing okay and everybody's still healthy and well. Okay. Alright, my last side here. Here we go. So once you've done that, just peel the backing off and then we're going to put that onto our frame. Okay, just go and put that on. There we go. Right, so the next part that we want to do is we want to put this piece here. We want to start cutting this piece up. So if you can find that piece, so this is the one that's called Tourist, P2770. Now this part here, this darker part here, we want to cut out later. So that darker piece on that paper there is this bit here. So we're going to cut that bit out later. So when you come to cut this piece, I want you to cut up in this corner here, because that's the lighter piece that we need there. So that piece is going to measure, what is it, 7 by 8.5. So we're going to cut that to 7 by 8.5. So I'm just going to trim my border off first. And keep that for later if you like. Okay, so 7 by 8.5. There we go. So that's that piece there that we've got. Is everybody doing okay? Keeping up? Alright, so this piece here, what we want to do is we want to put a little bit of a white border around it. So this is the bit that we're doing here. So this piece here. So I've gone ahead and I've matted that onto a piece of white. So you can actually use that piece that you cut out earlier. If I can find mine. Where'd it go? Oh, it's on the floor. It's on the floor. Okay, so just pop some tape around there, and then I just usually stick mine on so it's a little bit smaller around two sides, and then I can trim it down a little bit so it's a bit bigger around there. So I'm just going to defluff mine because my trimmer blades are so bad at the moment. Okay, so pop some tape on the back of that one. So I'm just going to pop that onto that piece that we cut out of the middle of our first 12 by 12. So don't forget to pop it down so you've got a little bit of a border on two sides. Okay, so I've got mine with a little bit of border there, and now I'm just going to put it on my trimmer, and I'm going to put my blade just a little bit across here, and I'm going to cut down there so that I've got a little bit of a border along there as well. Go. Okay, so how's everyone going? You guys doing all right? All right, so this piece here, I'm going to actually cover this whole piece here up because it's on a little bit of an angle, this one, and it just, when I did it before, when I was designing this, it just looked really funny, that bit of an angle, so I wanted to cover that up. So this one is just going to go right over top of this piece here. Okay, so pop some tape on the back of that one. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it doesn't matter which way up this one goes. We're just going to pop that right in the middle and that over top of this piece here. So just make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. Alright, so that's that part down. So the next bit we want to do is this gingham piece here. So I have to be honest, I did photocopy this one, and I am really sorry. It's just with everything going on with the coronavirus, I couldn't get the papers in time, so I have actually just used the back of this piece here. So I am sorry about that. That won't always happen. So this one is a photocopied piece, but we're just going to use it for a quick layout on this one here. So I'm very sorry about that, guys. Right, so this one also needs a border around it. So we just got a little bit of a border there too. So you've got another piece of 12 by 12 cardstock here. So I want you to pop that one onto there again, like we did before, with a little bit of a border around the outside as well. Okay, so just pop that on there. Oh, sorry, we need to cut that down. Let me just check what size that was. 4.5 by 11. So make sure we cut that down to 4.5 by 11. Okay, so 4.5 by 11, and we're going to mat that onto some white now. Okay. I've got to say, it's quite nice being back at work, being with Mum and Serena and Mike again at work. It's kind of cool, actually. Didn't realise how much I missed it until I came back. Okay, and it's nice to see some of you coming to pick up your stuff and saying hello. That's so cool. It's funny how we miss people so much and don't even realise it sometimes. Okay, so I'm just going to put this one on with a white border there. There we go. So just trim around this side and the bottom again, like we did with the first one. Oh, sorry. Okay, there you go. Alright, so that one now has a bit of a border around it. If anyone's finding it hard to keep up, or just please let me know so I can slow down a little bit. It's really hard to tell how fast to go on live videos. Okay, so we're just going to put tape around that one, and we're going to pop that in the middle of our layout. Oops. Okay, here we go. So that one's just going to go in the middle here. Okay, so I'm going to put this slightly more to this side and make sure it's even at the top and bottom there, so we've got a little bit of this grey showing underneath there. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you've up to there and you've got that done. Now, what we're going to do next is all these little pennants that we've got here. So we've got two little ones here, and then we've got our one for our title here. So I'm just going to do this one for the title first, so that you can grab this piece of paper back again, and that's the bit that we're going to do out of this darker bit here. So I'm just going to cut across there where it's sort of a bit lighter at the top, so I'm going to cut that lighter bit off, and I want to use just that little bit of blue, that darker blue there. Okay, so this piece here we want to measure, check my instructions. Okay, so 2 by 3 3/4. So I'm just going to cut down at 2. There we go. So we can put that one aside now. So this is the bit that we want to have there. So that darker blue there. So 2 by, what was it? 3 3/4. Just going to defluff my paper again. My trimmer blades are so bad. Yolande actually had a really good idea for this. I've always just used my scissors to trim these off, but she uses a a nail file to do it, which is a really great idea too. So thanks, Yolande, for that. Okay, right, so this piece here we're going to cut down into a little pennant. So this bit that we're doing right here. Right, to do that, I'm going to need a ruler and a pencil. So I've got my ruler and my pencil here. So I want you to measure up from the bottom at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to, sorry, that's the bottom there. So I'm going to measure up 3/4 of an inch there and just put a little pencil mark. Okay, and we're going to do the same on this side. Put a pencil mark there. So I'm going to just draw a really faint line between those two marks I've made there. So what that does is that gives us the height of how far up we want to cut our pennant. Right, so now what you're going to do is we're going to find the middle of that line now. So this is 2 inches, so I'm going to put a mark at 1 inch there, so that's the middle. So you should end up with 3/4 of an inch going from the bottom to the top, and then we're going to find that 1 inch mark in the middle there. So that 1 inch mark that you've got, I want you to take your ruler and I want you to put it on an angle down to that point on the outside there and draw a line between your middle mark and that point on the side, and do the same on this one here. So you can make any sort of fishtail pennant any size you like. Right, so we're just going to cut those lines there now. And there's your fishtail. Pretty easy. Right, so just grab a rubber and get rid of that pencil mark that you made earlier there. If you've got layouts that you want to keep fairly simple but just want something in the background, these fishtail pennants are great, because like we could have even made this one into one so that your photo's sitting here and it makes a really nice little background. So even if you had like a couple underneath a photo, if you wanted to keep it a very simple layout but you want something in the background, that's my kind of go-to thing every time I want something a bit different on there. Okay, so with some leftover paper, I want you to put your fishtail on there, and we want to have another border around there. So again, I'm just popping it on and I'm doing borders around the outside here, and then I'm going to cut down there, and now I'm going to cut down a bit further here, so this one is a bit longer, and then I'm going to cut up into that fishtail. So pop that onto your white cardstock first. I do tend to use tape more than glue, just because that if I make a mistake, which I do a lot, you can actually take it off and reposition it a bit easier than you can with glue. But it is definitely a personal preference. I'm going to defluff this one again as well now. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to cut down the side here. So just a bit of a border again around there. Now when I cut this bit down, I'm just going to cut it quite long there so that we've got some area to cut that into that pennant there, because we actually need to come down and cut in. So I'm just going to use my scissors, but if you prefer to do a ruler line and a pencil line, go for it, that's perfect. Here we go. Alright, so we've got that border around there. Is everyone keeping up? Okay. Right. Okay, so that piece there is what we're going to use for our title. So before we do that though, I'm just going to I'm going to be right back. I've forgotten my pokey tool and my mat. So if you want to grab your pokey tool and your mat. Oh, there it is. And I'll just get a foam mat. Okay, so I've just got this is a bit of packing that we've used, so if you could use anything that you can push down a pokey tool into like that. So this is what we're just going to do fake sort of hole stitching around there, so it's on this piece here. So now if you wanted to, you could use a sewing machine and actually sew around that would look amazing. So if you want to, I've just eyeballed mine, but if it makes you feel better, you can mark it at every quarter inch. And we're just going to poke a hole all the way around. Okay, so I'm doing them about 1/4 of an inch apart, and I'm just going to go right around the whole outside of that fishtail. Okay, just going to carry on around. Okay, so I'm just going to come up into that little fishtail now. This would look really amazing if you had a sewing machine and you wanted to sew around it. You could even once you've done these holes, if you wanted to, you could just hand stitch around there with some floss. Okay, so that's my one there done. So I'll just give you a wee bit longer to get that finished. And that's one there is going to go there, and we're just going to go ahead and put our perfect title on there. So I'm just using my art glitter glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of my word. Here we go. And I'm just going to pop that onto my pennant there. So it's going to be tight, but it will fit. Here we go. Awesome. Okay. Now because we've got this poking on the back, it's sort of a little bit raised and a bit jaggedy there. So that's not going to sit very flat on our page. So I've actually put foam tape on the back of this one. So if you have some foam tape there, grab some of that, and we're just going to pop some foam on the back. Always go right around the outside with foam tape because we just don't want it to sag anywhere, and I'm going to put a little strip in the middle as well. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to put a bit there as well. So if you want to use the 6mm foam tape for that, that's fine as well. This one here, so we have the 6mm, that thinner one. I just prefer the thicker one just because it gives it a bit more stability on there. But if you're low on tape, just cut this one up the middle, and you can get 6mm out of that as well. Okay, so this piece is going to go about there. No, I might bring it down just a little bit actually. There we go. Right, so out of this leftover white piece now, we're going to cut our 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece of matting for our photo. So grab your leftover paper, and we're just going to go to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and that's going to fit a 4 by 6 photo. So we can actually put that on now. Now if you don't have a photo, don't stress, you can always add this a bit later. So put some tape on the back of that, and we're just going to lift that up a bit actually, and then just pop it about there. So we want it to be slightly over the gingham and a little bit of this grey border showing there. Okay, right, so we just tape that down. I've used just normal double-sided tape for this one. Now if you've got your flowers cut out, that's the next thing we're going to do. So we're just going to grab those flowers that we've cut out, and we're going to put them on the back of our photo mat here. So we're just going to use the tape we're putting down now to put the photos on the back. So I want mine to go about there, and I'm just going to use, which one am I going to use? This one here, I think. Yep, so this one here, so you've got the one with all the little flowers at the top there. I'm going to pop that so that it goes underneath my photo mat there, but I want this bit to come over the top of my photo mat. So I'm just going to take the backing off that top piece. So this bit here goes behind, and that bit goes on the top there like that, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue under there. But if you don't have a photo, just leave that for now so that you can slip your photo underneath, and then you can glue that down or tape it down, whichever you prefer. Okay, so this piece here now is going to go onto our photo mat, so we can go ahead and take the rest of that tape off the back. we go. Alright. Okay, so then I might move this one over a little bit now, so it's just a little bit under the flower and over onto the photo mat. There we go. Right, so I'm going to go ahead now and put a bit of glue behind this so that we can stick that down properly. So if you just want to put a bit of glue just underneath these pieces here. I'm not going to do it on the actual photo mat because I haven't got a photo, so I'm not going to put it up on this part here yet. There we go. So I'm just going to glue this piece down here as well. So now I have left this unglued so that I can put a photo in there later. Okay. There we go. Great. I hope you guys are doing okay. Just let us know in the comments if I'm going too fast or if you want me to go over something again. It's a pretty basic kit here though, so it's not a hard one to do today. Alright, so we're going to come now and we're going to do these little pennants here again. So these ones are done exactly the same way as these. So you want this piece of paper here. So you've got a sort of a creamy, mottled sort of square there. So I want you to cut one of them down to measure. Let me just find my measurements here. 1 3/4 by 4 1/2. So 1 3/4 by 4 1/2. There. Awesome. So that's going to be one pennant, and I want you to go ahead and cut the next one out. That one's going to measure 1 1/4 by 6. So 1 1/4 by 6, which it should be actually, so that's that done. So you'll have a little bit of paper and stuff left over if you want to do anything else. So I'm going to cut these into pennant, like little fishtails now. So this little short fat one, we'll start with that one. And this one, I want you to measure up 3/4 of an inch again as well. So I'm just going to try and find my ruler here. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we want to measure up 3/4 of an inch again from the bottom up, and we're going to make a pencil mark there. And we're going to measure up 3/4 of an inch on the other side and put a pencil mark as well. And we're just going to draw a line between those two. So that will help us to know how far up to cut. So I'm just going to find the center of that one there, which is about 3/4 of an inch there. Yep, about 3/4 of an inch. So just put a pencil mark there, and then we're going to draw a line from our middle mark down to that side point. And we're going to do it again on this side, so from that middle mark down to that side point. And we're just going to use our scissors and cut that out there. Oops. Okay, so you can go ahead and cut that, you can rub that little bit of pencil mark out there. Okay, there we are. So this one now we need to mat onto a piece of leftover scrap paper. So I'm just going to do the same again on this one. I'm just going to adhere that down onto here, leave a bit of a border around it, and then we're going to cut out the bottom here. I'm just going to defluff this again. I need to find a trimmer that has a better blade on it. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to put some tape on the back of this one. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that onto a bit of scrap white that I've got left over. Just a little bit of a white border again. There we go. So I'm going to cut down here, and we're just going to put a bit of a, it's not even, I think it's probably about 1/8 of an inch if you want a measurement, but I tend to just eyeball it a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to cut up into that fishtail now, so if you want to use a ruler and pencil, go right ahead. There we go. A wee bit off there. Okay. Alright, so that's one of our other pennants. So if you're a little bit behind, don't worry. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put little dot marks around there with our pokey tool again. So I've just done it at every 1/4 of an inch. I've just eyeballed it. So, but if you prefer to measure it, go ahead. So I'm just going to do that around the outside of this piece as well. Just getting the stick off my pokey tool. Nearly there. You're doing great, guys. So I'm just going to come up into that fishtail now. Okay. Right, so there it is there. So that's one of them done. Now we want to go ahead and do the other one. So that slightly thinner one there. We're going to do a fishtail in there as well. So again, we're going to come up 3/4 of an inch and make a pencil mark. Don't forget, if I'm going too fast, just let me know in the comments and I'll slow down a bit. Okay. So I'm just going to use my leftover bit here. So it's going to be long enough. So I'm just going to measure up 3/4 of an inch. Make a pencil mark on one side. Go to the other side, measure up 3/4 of an inch again. Make a mark. And then just draw a line between those two so we know how far up to cut it. And then find that middle mark again. So that one will be about there. So that middle mark is going to guide us down to that point there. So we're just going to draw a line from the middle down to the point. There you go. So just cut that one out now. And just use a rubber to rub that bit out in the middle there. Okay, so I'm just going to mat that piece onto a piece of white again. So I'm just going to put some tape on the back of that one. And then I'm just going to pop it onto there. Oh, the sun's coming out. Just got brighter. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to cut down that side there to give myself a border again. And I'm just going to cut. Actually, I might just move that across a little bit because I've gone a bit close to that border there. So this is why I love using tape, because if I do screw up, I can move it around. Okay. Yeah, it looks a bit better. Okay, so I'm just going to cut up into that little fishtail now. Here we go. Right, so again, I'm just going to do those little pokey holes in there, so if you want to go ahead and do that. There we go. It does get a wee bit sticky because you are pushing through the glue, so sorry, the tape. So if it gets sticky, just wipe it off. It's fine. It won't damage your pokey tool at all. Right, down the long side again. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we now have these two pieces here. So I'm just going to put some foam tape on the back of those, because if you remember, these are a little bit jagged and stick up a little bit. So foam tape is going to go on the back of those. Now I'm going to put a little strip of the 6mm down the middle, just so that it doesn't have any sagging in the middle there. So don't forget, if you only have the 6mm, that's fine to use. Don't worry about that at all. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and put some foam tape on the back of this one too. Okay. Now, because this one is a bit thinner, you won't need that strip down the middle, so I'm not just going to put a strip down both sides, and that's it. Here we go. Right, so we're ready to stick those down now. So this is the one that's going to go on first, and I'm just going to butt it up against my photo mat there. So that's just going to stick right there. Actually, I might bring it down a wee bit. Yeah, I might stick it there. So we're just going to pull it down a wee bit there. Okay. So just bring it down a little bit further than your photo, and we're going to butt it up against the photo mat there. Okay. So this one's going to go on next, and we just want to slightly overlap it. And we want to bring it across the bottom of our photo there. So just overlap it a little bit. Here we go. Right. How's everyone going? Doing okay, Mike?
Yeah. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, he's supposed to be checking on my messages or anything there, so he's not doing his job, guys. I need you to come back to put him in his place. Okay, so is everyone doing all right? Awesome. Okay.
Hello to Juanita.
Hi, Juanita. How are you? Good to see you. Okay, so we're going to put this one on now. So what I've actually done is I've actually cut this piece here off. So I'm going to bring it around like that. So that little bit there is going to cut in half there. So this one is going to go, how do I put it that way there? So I'm going to pop that there. So I just need a bit of foam tape around the back here because I want this flat on my fishtail pennant there. So I'm just going to put a bit of foam tape on this one here, and just at the top of those ones there. So I'm just going to use a thin piece. Okay, so on this one here, we want to put some on the back of that one. So if you've got any scrappy bits, you can pop that onto the back there. Okay, and a little bit on there. And I'm just going to put another little bit there, so I've got a bit of a scrappy bit there, so I'm just going to pop that on. Okay, so we can stick that down now. Oh, thanks, Juanita. It's getting harder because I haven't got a lot of papers at work anymore, at the shop anymore because of the lockdown, so we're really running low on papers at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that one there. So that bit there, actually I won't move that to there. That flat bit there is going to go flat on there. So you're just going to stick that down there. Okay, so that one's on. So that bit that we just cut off, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of that one just to make it a bit quicker. And then we're just going to pop that down next to it as well. Okay, so I'm just going to move that to about there. There we go. Awesome. Okay, nearly there, guys. We're just going to put another little flower up in this corner here. So I'm just going to stick that down with glue. So I've just put I've got my flower, my leaf that I cut out earlier. Just going to pop some glue on there. So just up in this corner here. And then I'm just going to use a bit of foam tape to put my flower on the top there. There we go. Right, I think that's it. Yes, we're done. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm not much of a morning person, so I'm sorry if I sounded a wee bit flat. I'll make that a better thing next week. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and I hope you've enjoyed doing it. Don't forget, when you've got anything you want to show off or show us what you've done in the lockdown, we have our Craft Communities page. So just go onto Facebook, type in Craft Communities in the search bar, and you will see us there. So please use it. We really love seeing what everybody's doing in lockdown. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.